welcome to InfoHub Recap, where we look at the past week's main stories. In our headlines, President Granger in Cuba for another round of medical treatment. ExxonMobil announces 2 new discoveries offshore Guyana, and calls being made for house-to-house registration before elections. These stories and more in this week's InfoHub Recap.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
President David Granger said Guyanese must not be daunted by the outcome of the December 21, 2018 vote, but rather galvanize themselves for what will be a resounding victory at the next general and regional elections. Alexis Rodney filed that report on Monday.
Addressing a massive crowd on Sunday at Vreeden Hoop, West Coast, Demerara, President Granger said the government is faced with a challenging situation, although not of its own making. However, he said there have been hurdles in the past that were overcome, and Guyana will rise to this challenge again.
The Speaker has spoken. We respect the Speaker. And we have spoken. We have gone to the court. But we have met with the leader of the opposition who agrees that the National Assembly has work to do. So I have not dissolved Parliament, and I have not resigned. There is no such thing as interim government. There is no such thing as caretaker government. I remain president until the next president is sworn in.
The president said over 207,000 Guyanese went to the polls in May 2015 and registered their support for the coalition government. The same must be done this time around. The work, he said, must be completed.
You elected us to do a job. Let us finish the job. You didn't elect Barrett to do the job. You didn't elect Irfan to do the job. Give us a chance to finish the job. Whatever happens, put us in the driving seat, and you'll see the transformation. You'll see the change in every community, in every village, in every region.
According to the president, the coalition is a group of 6 serious parties that remains a legal, legitimate government. He advised the Guyanese to choose wisely who they want to lead the country in the years ahead, because voting for a party that's stamped on local democracy for 23 years is definitely not the way to go.
We have come to a critical juncture in the history of this country. It is not about David versus Irfan. It is about the future of our children. It is about whether they can grow up in a democratic state. It is whether they can enjoy the quality of life that we promised them.
Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
A team of government ministers visited the mining town of Linden last Saturday and spent the day listening to concerns raised by residents with the intent of crafting tangible solutions.
9 ministers of government and Region 10 members of parliament representing the APNU-AFC coalition visited several communities across Linden. Visiting the 1 Mile Wisma area was Minister of Public Telecommunications, Catherine Hughes.
The more and more I walked around, the more I realized that in some respects our regional systems are not working as efficiently as they should. And this, of course, I think is because we don't have a history of having local government elections, so it's a slow process. But we got a lot of positives. We got a lot of people doing amazing things. You know, I just came from a nursery. We saw a really great bakery hiring about 15 people. We saw companies and groups of individuals doing good things. In the background here is a road that was fixed. So we know that things are happening. But of course, there is an urgency in communities to see more done.
Minister Joseph Harmon was in Blueberry Hill, where he visited the hospital and handed over streetlights to the community.
Well, we're here as a government to see the conditions under which people live, to get a feedback from them, hear from them what are the matters which affect them. As a government, you know, it is our duty, our responsibility to ensure that that good life which we speak about goes to the people. So we are able to see the situation in which people live. What is important is that all of them, without one, were in support of the government. They support the government, they support our program. Their concern is that the program is not being developed as fast as they could.
Meanwhile, other ministers also visited the communities of Amelia's Ward and Christianburg, among other areas in Linden. Regional Member of Parliament German Figueroa was pleased with the minister's initiative.
I'm happy that several ministers of government would have come to Linden and particularly dispersed themselves all across the community so that they could have engaged the residents, the business community, all the persons from the various communities within Linden to basically hear directly from them what are some of the issues that are affecting those communities, and also for the people to say thanks for all the efforts and the developmental works that the government would have been doing in those communities.
Residents of these areas indicated that they would like to see more job opportunities for young people, while they need more direct access to government services. More importantly, they told the ministers that they wish to be apprised of the beneficial programs and projects slated for the area. The ministers spearheading the visit to Linden were Ministers Joseph Harmon, Winston Jordan, Amna Ali, Catherine Hughes, Dr. Nicolette Henry, Jaipal Sharma, Annette Ferguson, Valerie Garrido-Low, and Keith Scott. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
During a recent visit to the Pomeroon-Supinam region, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu was updated on the progress of the rehabilitation of the Supinam stelling. And our Khan tells us that the project is expected to be completed by March.
In an invited comment, project engineer of the Sea Defense Department with the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Colin Giddens, said the project is about 70% completed.
So far, the project is about 70% completed. A lot of the work was the steel sheet pile revetment that is in front here. And the other aspect, that's about 50% of the project. And the other aspects with the construction of the building and so on is the other 50%.
The project is slated to have flood and erosion protection structures in critical sections and the implementation of infrastructural, architectural, and landscaping enhancements. The new stelling will have the capacity to moor a large number of boats. Prime Minister Nagamutu, addressing speedboat operators, said the rehabilitation of the facilities will enhance the way they conduct business.
This is going to be one of the major attractions for Essequibo. This is where I'm told all the action will happen, day and night. And so I'm told they're hoping for a March deadline. And of course, it is providing better facilities for you, a better environment within which speedboat operators can now work. Your passengers are getting more secure landing and so on. So your business will be enhanced by this as well. And I hope that you give the authorities your full cooperation and support in this period while the construction is going on.
To date, over $123 million has been identified for the project, of which $89 million will be provided by the ministry and the remaining $34 million by the regional administration. It will see the construction of modernized vending units, arrival and departure facilities for speedboat passengers, and boarding facilities that will cater for elderly persons and those living with disabilities. Once completed, the project will be managed jointly by the Regional Democratic Council and Good Hope Pomona Neighborhood Democratic Council. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
President Granger departed for Cuba on Tuesday to undergo another round of medical treatment. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu was sworn in to perform the duties of the president, while Minister of Public Security Camaraj Ramtatan functions in the capacity as Prime Minister. The coalition government remains committed to small businesses and local manufacturing. This was stated recently by Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan.
During a tour of 2 East Bank Demerara companies on Monday, Minister Jordan said the government is dedicated to pushing local manufacturing and broadening the scope for producers. His first visit was to Demerara Bakery, located at Block G1 Land of Canaan. The company commenced operation back in 2014 with 2 bakers. Today it has a staff of some 90 persons from within and around the community.
I always emphasize the small and medium businesses, because for me it's easier to establish, they employ a lot more people, they stay around longer and so forth, and they tend to be closer to these so-called mom and pop rather than these large corporations and so on.
Demerara Bakery hopes to one day become the premier bakery in Guyana. Every day, between 4,000 and 5,000 pieces of 26 different items are baked by the company, which are then supplied to close to 700 customers across Guyana. These range from tennis rolls to coconut buns to platen sliced breads to Solara and pastry products. The minister's second stop was to Tandy's Manufacturing at Eccles Industrial Site. The company, which has become a household name in Guyana, was established in 1989 and has seen an expansion over the years. Minister Jordan said it will be good to see more exports from the company. So far, Tandy's exports small amounts of its products to Canada and the United States of America.
I would like to see more exports taking place. I'd like to see your business grow. Tandy's has now become a household name in Guyana. We'd like to see it become a household name in the Caribbean.
Director of Tandy's, Bert Denny, said that the company first started as a manufacturer of peanut butter. However, it later diversified, producing items now such as mixed fruits for cakes, bottled seasoning, and a Chinese sauce. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
In infrastructural news, Leticia Isaacs tells us that several interior regions will benefit from major infrastructural works in 2019 as hinterland development continues to be a government priority.
With the allocation of $2 billion from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure towards infrastructural developments in Regions 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10, several communities are slated to benefit from major upgrades. The aim of these upgrades is to provide ease of access, upgrades of roads and bridges within the regions. Jeffrey Walcott, hinterland engineer attached within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, explains.
Most of the projects for this year in terms of the urban setting are actually like secondary and tertiary phases of the actual roadworks which commenced in 2017 and 2018. With regards to the actual hinterland program, it's more still about connecting the larger corridors and improving connectivity across the regions, specifically in areas where people need it the most.
According to Walcott, the Infrastructure Ministry is also working closely with several government agencies and other ministries, including the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tushaus across the hinterland, to better understand priority areas for development.
We would have engaged with Natural Resources, Ghana Manufacturing Association. We would have invited all of the agencies within Natural Resources, including Forestry and GGMC. We would have also extended an invitation to the Tushaus so that we could have planned comprehensively for our projects in terms of a greater level of connectivity.
The ministry is on track to complete several projects in hinterland areas, including the linking of several interior regions to eventually provide better connectivity between the coast and interior regions of Guyana. Leticia Isaacs for InfoHub.
The emerging oil and gas sector has been boosted with 2 new discoveries. Exxon announced the discoveries on Wednesday, which were made offshore Guyana at the Tilapia 1 and Haimara 1 wells, taking the total number of findings on the Stabroek block to 12.
The announcement was made by the head of the Department of Energy, Dr. Mark Bino, who said, quote, "This continues to be positive news for the people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. But the real substance of these finds will come when all Guyanese are able to benefit from these discoveries, whether directly or indirectly." End quote. The Tilapia 1 discovery is the fourth in the Turbo area and encountered approximately 93 meters of high-quality oil-bearing sandstone reservoir and was drilled to a depth of 5,800 meters in about 2,000 meters of water. The well is located approximately 5.5 kilometers west of the Longtail 1 well, while the discovery at the Haimara 1 well, located approximately 31 kilometers east of the Pluma 1 discovery, it encountered about 63 meters of high-quality gas condensate-bearing sandstone reservoir. The well was drilled to a depth of about 5,600 meters in nearly 1,400 meters of water. There is potential for at least 5 floating production, storage and offloading vessels on the Stabroek block, producing more than 750,000 barrels of oil daily by 2025. Dr. Mark Bino assured that the Department of Energy continues to work tirelessly with its partner companies to establish the necessary framework that will ensure all Guyanese benefit from these discoveries.
Wednesday also saw the signing of 2 memoranda of understanding between the Ministry of Natural Resources and the National Tushaus Council, and with the Ministry of the Presidency's Department of Energy and the World Wildlife Fund.
In brief remarks, Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trutman said the event is further evidence of the government's commitment to provide the good life to all.
So today we are signing 2 very significant documents that will undoubtedly continue to strengthen the management and development of Guyana's natural resources sector. I refer, of course, to the renewal of the MOU between the Ministry of Natural Resources and the World Wildlife Fund. And secondly, the MOU formalizing the relationship which has already been fortified with the National Tushaus Council.
The MOU signed with the National Tushau Council will assist the agency to fulfill its mandate in Part 4, Section 41 of the Amerindian Act 2016 and allow the ministry to establish and maintain a communication with the indigenous communities, which will aid in promoting programs offered by the ministry. NTC Chairman Nicholas Fredericks thanked the ministry for this agreement, noting that this will definitely assist the indigenous peoples with the issues they face.
This MOU is not going to only benefit indigenous people, but also Guyana at large, because we will work towards addressing some of the issues in relation to mining or other extractive activities. So we see this as a very important step as the National Tushaus Council in moving towards collaboration to start the discussion of addressing environmental issues, but also how can we build our capacities in the communities so we can benefit from national programs.
WWF Representative Lawrence Gomes also thanked the ministry for this move. The ministry is also set to sign an agreement with Conservation International before month end. Neola Damon, InfoHub.
With the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM, announcing its readiness for general and regional elections no sooner than July of this year, the election body may have to carry out a claims and objections exercise to clean the list of electors.
This was disclosed on Tuesday by GCOM CEO Keith Lowenfield, who said the life of the current list of electors will expire on April 30, 2019. Lowenfield noted that if elections are not held before that date, the Secretariat will have to proceed with the production of a new official list of electors.
List has life to it. It is the life of the list. Because if you ask me, and if we're going to intellectualize, a list is never clean. Every electoral list has Tom, Dick, Harry, whomever would have deceased. So it really and truly says to you, what is cleanliness? Is it where all the listed persons there are alive and well? And if one person is deceased, then the cleanliness comes into question.
According to Lowenfield, one of the mandates of the Commission is to always be in a state of readiness for elections and registration. This, he said, must be carried out at the order of the Commission. In addition, Commissioner Vince Alexander said the obligation of GCOM is not only to hold elections in a timely manner, but to also execute a flawless process.
For me, the quality of elections requires house-to-house registration. because the list is bloated, and this is something we've all recognized. We now have the finances to correct it, and we should use the monies to correct it.
According to Alexander, there was a consensus within the commission 2 weeks ago that an election by March 19 is hardly possible. He said it is possible that some of the commissioners' position change after they were given directives. Neil Damon, InfoHub.
The youth must vote. This was the call made on Thursday outside the GCOM headquarters as government supporters staged a picketing exercise to demand that the commission hold house-to-house registration before elections. To explain the protest action, we spoke with the Director of Sport, Christopher Jones.
Essentially, we are here today to signal to the Guyana Elections Commission that we as young people of this country, we agree with them that indeed, if their timeline as indicated by them is July, then we have to accept that. More importantly, April the 30th of this year, which is a few weeks from now, the current list is exhausted. And therefore, new house-to-house registration has to be had. To do that, it provides an opportunity for 28,000, 24,000, 16,000, 18,000, 32,000 young people who are not otherwise on the current list to have an opportunity for them to be registered.
In addition, Jones says the protest is part of efforts to protect the democratic process and the right of every individual to vote.
The PPP claims that it believes in democracy. The right to vote is a democracy, and it exposes the hypocrisy of them. That on one hand, you're saying that you care about the young people and you have their interests at heart. Yet at the same time, you are taking away that basic right from the young people of this country, which is the right to vote.
Meanwhile, among the protesters were several youths who are demanding that they be allowed to register and given the opportunity to vote.
My name is Notori Tapin. I'm 23 years old. My ID card lost for 2 years.
My name is Grace Angel Charles. However, I lost my ID card and I went like 2 years back to get a replacement, and however, I haven't got it as yet.
My name is Sheldon Thomas and my vote must come this year.
Following the December 21 vote and the ruling of Chief Justice Roxanne George, the Ghana Elections Commission has been called upon to host elections before they are constitutionally due in 2020. However, concerned groups and citizens have called upon the Commission to conduct house-to-house registration and clean the voters' list, which is currently bloated with more than 80% of the Guyanese population listed as eligible to vote. This is being objected to by PPP commissioners, says Gunraj, Bibi Shadiq, and Robeson Ben. Reporting for InfoHub, Ayana George.
In keeping with the government's push for the development of science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics in schools nationwide, the Ministry of Education commissioned 3 science labs on Thursday in schools across the East Berbice quarantine region.
The new labs at the Kanji Secondary School, Ryman's Irvin Secondary School, and the Berbice Educational Institute were completed at the cost of $45 million. Minister of Education Dr. Nicolette Henry handed over the labs to teachers and students of the respective schools.
We trust that these facilities will be able to use to improve the classroom environment and certainly the learning of the students, and will make teaching much more comfortable for teachers. It's part of a large initiative where I usually would go around to see not only the commissioning, but to ensure that the standards are being met and the best practices, and I know where the gaps are, so I can have my technical officers who will come behind me and ensure that they do the enforcement.
According to the school's grade 11 students, the new lab enables them to do more practical work in preparation for their CSEC exams to be held in May-June of this year. This was substantiated by the headmaster of Ryman's Irvin Secondary School, Graham Thomas.
We are indeed excited, and the students are ready to put it in good use.
The labs are expected to provide an improved quality of education and foster educational development, critical thinking, and hands-on learning. Reporting for InfoHub, Ayana George.
Boxing is one of the 3 areas identified under the Rural Agricultural Infrastructure Development, also referred to as the RAID project, where infrastructure has been upgraded. This project has been encouraging former farmers to return to the land. Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, visited farmlands of several of these farmers on Wednesday.
Patrick Howard has been farming since the days of his youth, but was forced to abandon his 5 acres of land. He has since returned and is seeing the fruits of his labor.
I was waiting for this opportunity a very long time because he's now going to really prove himself as a farmer.
Randy Benjamin was already farming when the raid project took effect in the community.
When they came here, they reached me here, planting. I plant this place between rain and sun. In anything you're doing, you must have a little difficulties, and when the difficulty arrive, you ask for a little advice. You understand? But Nari is trying to work along with us presently now, and we're thankful for the little assistance.
The RAID project focuses on many aspects of infrastructural development for agriculture. This is one of the ways the government is trying to boost the agriculture potential of the country.
Agriculture has money and it can result in sustainable living. And so this is part of the whole process of getting back African Guyanese back to farming and sustainable living, and the whole process that we have in mind of diversifying the economy. All right, agriculture has the capacity to absorb large numbers of people. It is perhaps the only sector in the economy that has that capacity to absorb a large number of people while providing food, employment, income, and foreign exchange, and so forth. So we can't go wrong focusing on agriculture.
As RAID wraps up, Minister Jordan hinted that a similar intervention may be taken to other communities to tap into the vast agriculture potential that exists. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
The Chief Elections Officer of GCOM, Keith Lowenfield, told members of the media on Friday that the Elections Commission was never in the position to accede to the hosting of elections in 90 days. Moreover, he made it clear that the earliest possible date for elections is July, and that would depend on the decision of its commissioners.
But the reality is very simple. For us to conduct an election, it has to be staffed. At the moment, if elections are to be held, we will have an estimated amount of 2,300 polling stations or thereabout. Those polling stations has got to be manned by staff. And even if I utilize 20 training teams, their utilization on the weekends at schools across the spectrum, across Guyana, will see us taking a minimum of 7 to 9 weeks to ensure we train in all these regions.
Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers said if elections were to be held in March, then nomination day would have had to been by the end of January. She also says it would take 105 days if procurement of sensitive materials is done at the same time with the training of staff. This timeline, she says, does not cater for the house-to-house registration, a demand made by government supporters who yesterday picketed the commission.
With a July election day, it means that the life of the list would have expired. So it means that we would have to have a claims and objection for what we propose to be 28 and 7 before the elections can be held. But claims and objection could be done simultaneously.
Following the December 21 vote in the National Assembly and the recent ruling of Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George, the Guyana Elections Commission has been called upon to prepare for elections ahead of 2020 when they were originally constitutionally due. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
Minister of Natural Resources, Mr. Raphael Trotman, has proposed holding a lottery for mining regions of Guyana as a means of ensuring local communities are not robbed or taken advantage of in land allocations.
During his visit to Madia Region 8 on Thursday, Minister Trotman listened to concerns of residents regarding mining and land allocation. In a meeting with Regional Chairman Bonaventure Fredericks, the minister said he had taken steps towards holding a lottery to benefit the local community.
I've written Mr. Dennison about a lottery to maybe make it mining district specific, so the people who are in this mining district will benefit and not somebody coming from outside, because I wouldn't want people coming from outside to benefit when y'all have been waiting for some time for the land.
Minister Trotman says everything has to be balanced between settlements now that Madia has been declared a town.
There's some tensions and conflicts between where the town's boundaries are and mining lands, we have to resolve some of those as well.
The lottery for mining properties is expected to greatly assist small miners especially. However, this is not the only reason the initiative is being proposed. According to the minister, it will also assist in the separation of agricultural lands. Regional Chairman Bonaventure Fredericks says the Region 8 community will welcome the initiative.
The people of Region 8, especially in this sub-region here, sub-region 2, depends on mining. And because they depend so much on mining, now when we give these kind of thoughts, then the ministry is working towards a lottery for this. It will be like good news to them.
Minister Trotman said Made is an important part of the Guyanese community both economically and culturally, and the government will continue to do what is necessary for the town's development. Reporting for InfoHub, Felicia Valenzuela.
The Ministry of Public Health's open day on Friday allowed citizens to raise concerns with the ministers and senior officials. While some were given immediate assistance, others were assured that they will be able to access requisite services.
Maylene Fingal, a pensioner, was among the many persons to take advantage of the ministry's public day. As a result, she benefited from mobility equipment that will assist her since she suffers from spinal and hip injuries.
So far, as I've come here, I was able to speak with Sister Hicks and tell her of my situation and my complaints. And she listened to me very readily, and the necessary interventions was given me with regards to what I had to do and where I have to go.
Apart from giving the public the opportunity to interact with officials, the ministry also placed emphasis on the availability and importance of primary health care in various communities.
What people do, bypass where they are and go straight to Georgetown Hospital. So we really want to clamp down on the amount of persons who go in there bypassing where they're living. So it's a way of reorienting you, redressing to make sure you make use of the facilities nearby. So when you come here, we guide you to that facility, as well as if there's any immediate needs, we try to address that.
Staff of the ministry who also participated in the public day highlighted prevailing issues within the sector.
We also have a desk where we're seeing persons who are having difficulties with scholarships and job issues or the workplace issue. We also have a medical assistance desk, which is very much important for our people to know that if there is a surgery that they have to do and they cannot afford to do it because it's not available at Georgetown Hospital, we can assist there by helping financially.
It was reiterated that Meet the Public days are usually conducted but on a small scale. The ministry will ensure this continues. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
The public was given a glimpse of what the Education Ministry will be bringing to the road on MASH Day. Brittany Roberts was at the ministry's costume band launch on Friday.
Under a theme Stepping into the Future with Education and Technology in mind, models decked out in bright yellow gyrated as they displayed the features of their costumes. Costume designer Nielsen Nurse said the idea for the costumes was derived from the ministry's implementation of the STEM and robotics programs in schools.
The whole idea is we are trying to bring out the idea of robotics and the importance of education technology, how technology has been playing a really important part in education recently.
Minister of Education Dr. Nicolette Henry, in her remarks, said that the theme of the launch is part of a bigger drive by the ministry as it pertains to STEM.
I want to say that what I saw depicted there seemed to suggest that yes, we are moving in that direction. But I also want to say that this is part of a larger drive by the ministry, particularly in the area of our science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and the arts more recently. And this certainly depicts the arts. And so this morning we're going a little broader than STEMs. We're talking about STEAMs.
Minister Henry encouraged those present at the event to support the ministry for MASH Day and live up to the traditions of Mashramani. Reporting for InfoHub, Brittany Roberts.
This has been InfoHub Recap, where we highlighted this past week's main stories. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.